Welcome to day 3 of WEC, the digital experience. I am your host, Amani Roberts, and with me this morning is Dr. Temple Grandin. How are we doing today?
It's great to be here today.
We're excited to have you. I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Now, I'm also a professor, so I have to ask you a professor question.
right.
You recently were selected as one of the top 10 professors in the country. First of all, congratulations. But also, how do you continue to reach students across all the different age generations?
Well, I have an interesting subject to talk about. Cattle behavior.
Yes.
It's a really interesting subject. Lots and lots of visuals. They do a hands-on lab. I have them draw a scale drawing. I've had students ask me, well, why would you want to draw a scale drawing? Well, if you ever have to remodel your house, you might want to know how to do a scale drawing, teach them how to use scientific databases, and just make my class really super interesting.
Yes. I have more questions, but I really just want to know, why do you continue to love teaching so much?
Well, I think teaching is really important. I had some very good teachers that helped me. I had a science teacher who got me motivated to study. I had a wonderful third grade teacher. I had a math teacher who tutored me in his office. I had some very good teachers that helped me.
Yeah. Likewise. Since you spoke about teachers, if we were to bring your high school teacher out here, William Carlock,
Yep.
if we were to bring him here today, what would you say to him?
I'd have to thank him for all the time he spent with me, give me a reason to study, all the interesting projects we did together. And I was not motivated to study until I realized studying was a pathway to becoming a scientist. Then I got motivated to study.
And then what inspired you to continue on to be a science, and how did you stick with it? Because that's a long road.
Well, it's one step at a time. I remember when I was in my 20s, I actually built a house. And I go, well, that's a big project. And I go, it's one door and window at a time. One step at a time. Because if you look at the whole thing, you go, ah!
Yes, exactly. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But okay. Now, as a child, where did your curiosity for rock busting come from?
Well, I grew up in the suburbs, and my sister and I would both split rocks, and we had rock collections. And I used to love to ask my grandfather science questions. He was an MIT-trained engineer. I'd ask him why the sky was blue, why was grass green, and he would answer those questions.
Okay, I love it. Now, when you think about this, what's the difference between visual thinkers, pattern thinkers, and then verbal thinkers?
Well, object visualizers like me think completely in pictures. My memory is sort of like little pictures on the phone. Everything is a picture. Absolutely terrible at algebra. And I worked with a lot of object visualizers out in the meat industry that had great big machine shops and patenting all kinds of equipment. They couldn't do algebra either. Visual thinkers are good at mechanical, fixing mechanical things, art, and animals. Then you have your mathematical pattern thinker, your typical degreed engineer, thinks in patterns. They're going to be chemists, physicists. They're going to design the refrigeration system for a food processing plant. And then you have people that are word thinkers, that think completely in words. And a lot of people are mixtures of the different kinds of thinking. And we need the different thinkers. We need the visual thinkers like me to fix things. Well, the hotel I was in last night, the doors on the elevator weren't working right. These things are not getting serviced. That's something that the visual thinker is going to be really good at doing. And we need those visual thinkers that are non-mathematicians.
Yeah. So to kind of describe what it's like to be a visual thinker, if you're building a house, how would you go through that process being a visual thinker?
Well, first of all, you see the forms being made for the foundation. You see the different steps. When I designed some of my first cattle handling facilities, I would draw the fences, draw the concrete work, and actually build the whole project on the drawing.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm a musician by trade. And a lot of us are visual thinkers because we just see the notes or whatever. And listeners, how does that compare to, how is a musician? Are they a visual thinker? Are they a pattern thinker?
Math and music tend to go together.
Ah, that's
because math
right.
and music is patterns.
Yes.
And what you do is you see the patterns. I've talked to programmers who could look at code and see the pattern for a whole bunch of code. That's not how I think. What I tend to do is compare something I'm seeing now with something I saw in the past, and I use a lot of analogies. Something is like something else.
Okay, interesting. You're right about the math, too. Now, you've also mentioned in the past that there's a speech therapist that was the most important person in your life.
Well, I got into very good early intervention at 2.5. I had no speech, severe symptoms of autism. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of early education, and I got it. Really good speech therapist. She taught me language. She also taught me how to wait and take turns at games. You got to teach these kids how to take turns at games, and then also skills like eating with utensils, things like that. Those are the things that are really important in the little kids program. And I'm seeing some bad stuff today where a 3-year-old who's not talking is on a 2-year wait list. That's absolutely unacceptable. You've got to start working with that kid now. We're going to have to recruit some retired teachers to come in and work with that 3-year-old.
Yes.
Because you do not want to wait with these little ones.
What are some activities we could do with the 3-year-old to kind of get them talking?
Well, let's just start out with engaging that 3-year-old that might be lining up little toys. I saw a video on somebody's phone the other day. This kid was lining up little horses. So what you would do is take turns. We want to take turns lining up the toy horses or the coins or whatever thing that the child is lining up. Because you've got to start engaging him. Then you would start teaching him words for favorite toys or favorite foods, just one-syllable words. And you got to slow down when you talk to these kids, because when the grown-ups talked fast, it just went to gibberish. Like my speech teacher would hold up a cup and she'd get me to say cup. And she'd say cup, and then she'd say cuppa, where she enunciated those hard consonant sounds so I could hear them.
Interesting. Great advice. What I'm going to ask you like about general advice for people. And my first advice is when your college students leave and they want to go out and practice what they've learned in your class, what's some of the advice you tell them so that they can be successful for the long term?
Well, be good at what you do. The other thing that a lot of young people have problems with today is when they get into trouble, they don't ask for help. When I did one of my very first big design jobs that was shown in the HBO movie, the dipping vat system, I knew the cattle stuff, but I didn't know how to do the reinforced concrete tank. You better believe it. I got on the phone and I got engineered drawings for that. I asked for help on the part of it that I did not know how to design.
Right. Why do you think some of the younger professionals nowadays don't ask for help?
Well, I'm concerned that a lot of younger people today, I was just reading an article about some young people today were getting flip phones because they realized that they need to like get off of some of the online stuff and start doing real activities with other people. And one of the things that helped me as a child is when I was 8 years old, I had to sell candy for charity. When the parents had parties, the kids had to be hosts and hostesses and greet the guests, learn how to talk to people. I think that teaches really important social skills. It's now official. Bill Gates is also autistic, and his mom made him do exactly the same thing.
Okay, so now maybe more people will listen.
Yeah, but that's a simple thing to do, is just you have a party, have your kid go greet the guests, and we weren't allowed to use their first names.
Okay.
It was good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Wood. Could we take your coats?
Yeah. Okay, so that's advice for your college students that are graduating. What about some of your students, because you've been teaching for over 35 years. What about once they've been in the industry like maybe 15 or 20 years and they've hit like a lull or they've hit a plateau? What do you share with them so they can keep going?
Well, I'm really happy. I have 3 students that are now professors. They got their PhDs with me.
Congrats.
Well, then sometimes they call me up and we just have to talk things out. And I always let my students, you can ever call me anytime you have some kind of problem. We can always call and talk.
Okay. Now, if we were to rewind and go back to when you were 21 and give your younger 21-year-old self advice based on everything you've learned so far in life, what advice would you give your younger self?
Well, I'd be giving my younger teenage self,
Okay,
which was absolutely the worst part of my life.
Okay.
That when you get older, things get better. Because the worst part of my life was teenage years, bullying, teasing, being called all kinds of names. And the only places where I had friends was friends through shared interests. Riding horses together, doing model rocket club together. These were things where I had friends who shared interests. And then when I went to college, I still had social problems, and we had a great big campus-wide variety show, and I sung a silly song in it, and I made scenery, and that helped me to get friends.
Okay. What was the song you sang?
It was something called My Buddy.
Okay. Good. So in addition to telling your younger self to like have shared interests, What other advice?
Well, jump on opportunities, doors to opportunity. In the HBO movie about me, there's a scene where I'll go up to the editor of our state farm magazine and I get his card because I knew if I wrote for our state farm magazine, that would help my career. I saw that door to opportunity and I acted on it. And then I started writing really good articles. And I very quickly got a reputation that when I covered the cattle feeders meeting, I summarized the talks accurately.
Nice.
You see, people respect good work. When you're weird, what I learned I had to do was to sell my work. So I'd show off my drawings. I'd show off pictures of jobs. I also wrote about my projects.
Nice. Okay. Now, finally, I just want to ask you about, you said before, and I agree with you 100%, but you said you feel it's important to find a career in your passion. Why?
Well, first of all, you have to get exposed to things to find out what a passion might be. I got interested in the cattle industry as a teenager because I went out to my aunt's ranch out west. That's exposure. I didn't come from an ag background. We got to get kids out doing more stuff so they can find stuff that they can get interested in. Because if you don't expose kids to things, how can they possibly get interested in them?
I agree. And then how do you respond when people are like, oh, you need to have a 9-to-5 job. You can't work in your passion because it won't pay you very well.
Well, it depends what the passion is.
True.
And I made sure I wrote good articles for the Farmer Ranchman magazine. And I also designed good cattle.
Bless you. No worries. Bless you. Keep going.
Okay. But I made myself good at my work. And I was working freelance. A lot of autistic people often do really well with their own businesses. The people that I worked with that were very good at building things, they had their own machine shops that built things. It was their own business.
Okay.
I also had some good people out in the industry that helped me set up my business. I didn't know how to set up a business.
Yeah.
And I was helped with that.
Okay. When you speak to us this morning, what's your message going to be? What are you going to talk to us about?
Well, I want to talk about the different kinds of thinkers.
All right.
Because I think it's very important we understand the different kinds of skills that they bring. And in my book, Visual Thinking, I talk about the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster, which was a visual thinking mistake.
Okay.
I can't design a nuclear reactor. But when you have an electric emergency cooling pump that you really need really badly in a non-waterproof basement next to the sea, that's not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Simple waterproof doors would have saved it.
Wow.
There is no way I would have made that mistake.
Okay.
Okay, mathematicians, you designed the nuclear reactor, but I better work on the safety systems.
Yes.
Because they had no waterproof doors to protect an electrical emergency cooling pump that are really needed.
Yes. Well said. What, out of all the accomplishments you've had in your life so far, which one are you most proud of?
Well, I'm proud of different things. I've got equipment I've designed I'm very proud of. I worked on a system called the center track restrainer system. All the big plants have it. I've also written animal welfare guidelines. I taught McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's how to use a very simple scoring system to evaluate animal welfare at large meat plants. That was very successful. So I have different things that I'm happy about. I also get really happy when my students go out and do well.
Agreed. Yes. Yes, I agree with that. If people are just meeting you for the first time, where's the best place for them to learn more about you and maybe reach out and contact you?
Well, I can reach me through the Colorado State University. I also often give out my cell phone number.
We don't want to do that here,
All
but
right,
yes.
okay.
No. So Colorado State
Yeah,
as
they
a
can
faculty.
reach me through the Department of Animal Science at
Perfect.
Colorado State University.
Awesome. Well, we're excited that you're here with us at MPI WEC in St. Louis. We're excited to hear you speak later on, and just thank you for all you've done for the world and continue to provide us with more things that we admire.
Well, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll be back in one moment with our next guest, and thanks again to Dr. Temple Grandin for joining us.